The fallen abandon, and the sorrowful tide resounds. Those who seek profit will smoke their hearts, while those who kill will make noise. The eerie end of the world is just the beginning, and all despair is just a vague and insignificant cloud. At the eerie end of the darkness lies the mockery of the gods and the laughter of the powerless. Look at their faces. Xiao Yun chuckled lightly and said. Only when you are dragged into the endless dark sea will you understand what true fear is. Chapter 1. Where are you in the end of the world? You are listening at novelful.audio. With the violent impact of several energy bodies in outer space, powerful waves of air emerged on the surface of the Earth after being impacted, constantly roaring and spreading, filling everything on the Earth's surface. The house collapsed and people were devastated. Chaotic visions are unfolding around the world, and the surface of the Earth is gradually shrouded in dark mist, making everything illusory and uncertain. The surface seemed to be imbued with magic, with dazzling beams constantly surging in the dim mist. The Earth has become fantastical and dazzling, and the land is like a sponge, absorbing water and constantly expanding. The surface of the Earth seems to have been torn apart, undergoing various changes. The Earth has cracked into valleys, and high rivers have risen from the flat ground. The lakes are also constantly expanding, and the rivers have become incredibly magnificent. Even more sensational sounds kept coming from deep underground. The howling wind kept blowing in his ears, and Xiao Yun rubbed his swollen eyes and pushed away the lightweight wooden wall above his head. I looked at the gloomy sky above me in a daze. At this moment, a strong wind is blowing and the sky is roaring with all its might. Where is this? How long did I sleep? Dementially, Xiao Yun rubbed his painful head and looked around. Is this an earthquake? But why didn't I wake up from the shock? Although he didn't know what had happened, the surrounding ruins made Xiao Yun feel like he was still dreaming. But as I twisted my arms twice, I did feel the pain, which indicates that everything is real. But fortunately, at least he is still alive, except for a headache. Xiao Yun pushed aside the lightweight wooden walls around him, feeling a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the dormitories assigned to employees by the company were not made of real bricks or tiles, otherwise they might have been smashed to death on site. After graduating to find a job, they unexpectedly encountered a terrifying earthquake, which was really a bad start. Hush, it's so cold. We need to find some clothes to wear. For now, I can only wrap the thin quilt and bed sheets around my body. Wait, do the others seem to have disappeared? Shouldn't it be? Am I the only one who survived? Looking at the surrounding ruins and debris, Xiao Yunshin couldn't help but sigh. There is no shelter at all, everything is a mess. Like headless flies, they may soon become as cold as the surrounding corpses. Xiao Yun secretly warned himself that he must quickly seek help from others and strive to survive. Xiao Yun looked around and saw corpses scattered in all directions, with a tragic death, as if they had been cut apart before. Clothes and the like are almost all scattered and broken, almost all of them are limbs and bodies. This doesn't seem like an earthquake at all, it should be the appearance of being attacked by something, and the death toll is extremely tragic. Long ago, Xiao Yun lost interest in many cruel things and became numb and indifferent. Life is really difficult, and scenes of a dead person like this don't seem to affect Xiao Yun's feelings. Instead, it ignited inexplicable excitement in Xiao Yun's heart at this moment. Unlike before, I feel like my brain is constantly running at high speed, and I can always hear my heart beating like thunder. Rubbing his hands gave him a slight sensation, and Xiao Yun wrapped himself tightly around the tight bedding. I don't know what's going on at home, I've been living a lonely life without many friends, and the only concern I have is my parents. Oh, forget it, don't think about anything else. Let's just survive first. However, it is a miracle that I am still alive despite being severely damaged in this area. It's completely impossible to determine where this is, and the earth seems to have become wider. Without obvious signs of surrounding buildings, Xiao Yun was unable to determine the east, west, north, south. At least the place where it was buried should be the dormitory. Why is this day so dark? The chilly autumn wind blew on Xiao Yun's body, causing his legs and feet to shiver with cold. The billboard in front should be the logo of the store. There must be some helpful items around you. As expected, when I flipped through a few building bricks and tiles, I saw many corpses lying horizontally and vertically. Looking at these corpses in front of him, Xiao Yun always had a strange feeling in his heart. Xiao Yunxiang suppressed the strange feeling in his heart and panted as he took off the black windbreaker on a headless adult man. Cough cough. The wind was too strong, and I kept coughing and trembling as soon as I tried. After a while of hard searching, Xiao Yun's whole body trembled uncontrollably. Indeed, without eating, his physical strength was weak, and now he was completely in a state of exhaustion. Despite Xiao Yun's efforts, there have been gains, but there are indeed many things that cannot be used. A handy baseball bat, several broken pens, a few small notebooks, a folding Swiss safety knife, 2 seemingly broken lighters, and most importantly, an almost intact backpack was discovered. It's just a bit small. The cartoon pattern on it should be a backpack for elementary school students, but it's sturdy enough. The backpack is wrapped in a lot of plastic film outside. Unfortunately, there was no food or water, and I couldn't help but wonder if I really wanted to do something to the body. Oh, that's all the gains. Xiao Yun tightened his tight black windbreaker and thought to himself that now he has a bed, bedding, and various tools that are basically free from the cold. Is the main focus now on starting a fire for warmth or choosing to continue adventuring and collecting supplies from other places? It has taken a lot of time to search just now, so it is basically certain that we cannot continue the adventure. Based on your own material conditions, you can temporarily stay here and search carefully once your stamina recovers to a certain level. So Xiao Yun reluctantly built a small nest against the low ruins using discarded and lightweight boards around him. Although a bit small, it is safe and warm enough to block strong winds. A burst of air broke through the clouds and the sound came. A beam of yellow light flashed across the sky, followed by several dazzling beams of light flying through the sky. Xiao Yun instinctively stopped his work and stared blankly at the sky. Is this a meteor? Why is it so shiny? Before Xiao Yun could be surprised for a moment, the earth began to shake. Xiao Yun lay down nervously, feeling extremely scared in his heart. After a while, it slowly stopped with violent shaking. Xiao Yun Mao stood up and looked out hard, as an aurora was coming from afar at a visible speed to the naked eye. What is this? Where to run? I couldn't help but be shocked in my heart. With a loud bang, it sounded in the sky as if it was close to my ear. A aurora passed by, and the whole world seemed to merge with the light. I feel pain all over my body, a strange spectral radiation. Is this looking for something? When the light scans in another direction, it abruptly stops and turns into dots of light particles disappearing in mid-air. I have thought in my heart that I am going to die, and I also want to witness the prosperity of history and the world. No. The world instantly quieted down, and all sounds disappeared without a trace. Am I dead? No. I am still alive. It seems that whether to die or not is not that important anymore, it just feels like the body always has a feeling from waking up. It seems like something is guiding Xiao Yun. In a daze, the endless dark wire harness in the distance slowly extended from the aurora cutoff area. Wrap around Xiao Yun and devour all the surrounding light. It feels like being immersed in the dark sea, with incredibly pure ripples constantly rippling. Black light flooded into Xiao Yun's body, and at this moment, the pressure of the deep sea became less suffocating. In this immensely dark world, there were calls again, and a faint yellow light seemed to emanate from deep within. Number 34, Dong. An incredibly heavy bell rang from the deep sea, all the scenes began to contract violently and suddenly expand, with little bright lights appearing. As his gaze returned, Xiao Yun began to gasp for breath and the sound of wind echoed in his ears. And the sound of the heart beating violently. Xiao Yun seemed to have exhausted all his strength and felt deeply exhausted. In order to survive, Xiao Yun squeezed his survival potential and worked hard to wriggle into the warm ruins of a small nest nearby. Chapter 2. System appears. You are listening at novelfull.audio. My head hurts so much. Xiao Yun slowly opened his eyes. Surprisingly, it was not a dream. The series of events that happened one after another increased Xiao Yun's pressure. Xiao Yun silently sighed and lay in his small nest, crossing his legs, pondering what had happened before going to bed. What exactly is that light? With a sizzling sound, he suddenly came from afar, immersing himself in the world of light. Seems like some kind of scanning starting from afar. And what is that inexplicably black deep sea world? The cold is suffocating, oppressing everything, as if something is constantly calling my name under the deep sea. Anyway, being able to live is always a good thing. Dee-dee, a light and pleasant sound rang in my ears. Xiao Yun dug up his phone and thought it was ringing. But it doesn't seem like it is. Xiao Yun felt restless for a moment. What sound, where is it? Now I'm reporting to you. Due to the fluctuations caused by the Divine's attack, it triggered a chaotic flow of time and space. Your region has already opened up the field of elemental energy. As compensation for the destruction, the star domain to the High God will work together to provide free system energy guidance for blue star creatures. Xiao Yun was momentarily stunned after listening, and then burst into laughter. What is the beginning of the apocalypse? This is actually true, there is a system in the apocalypse. If I am still alive in this region, then I should be the protagonist of the world. Before Xiao Yun could finish associating, the special voice began to guide the creatures to load the system. Xiao Yun quickly restrained his mind and was fully focused on preparing for the response. Your region is Blue Star. The regional energy has been calibrated. The element is already open. Receiving instructions from the Supreme Gods. Unknown bias has been corrected. The data should be accurate. Warning. Warning. Your region is affected by unknown factors. You are unable to activate the glow system. On the other side of the distance, in the vast and mysterious starry sky, a heterodox building full of brilliant colors shines and fluctuates in the field of machinery. Various mechanical creations are constantly increasing in speed, and various technological energy dots are constantly flashing on the surface of the building. The entire building looks magnificent and full of vitality. Inside, there is a glowing golden ball of light, and the mechanical creation seems to have life, trembling in waves. Countless data streams emerge from the mechanical creation, as if receiving some kind of command and constantly changing their forms. However, each change produces various data streams that are gathered by that golden ball of light. Finally, a giant face was formed, emerging from the golden sphere of light and converging into a perfectly large body. He is the god of machinery, the father of great technological advancements in creation, and the aggregator of the starry domain network in known regions of the starry sky. He is also the person in charge of the dissemination of the Forbidden Demon Area system this time. At this moment, there was a change in the expressionless face of the mechanical god. The Forbidden Demon region is extraordinary, and the collection and transformation of the energy of the god's elements are not comprehensive. Ancient errors have appeared. After speaking, the afterword dissipated, and this perfect golden body transformed into an infinite and tiny golden spot, dissipating in the heretic architecture. In a flower sea somewhere along the long river of time and space, the god of fate is leisurely taking a walk, occasionally looking up towards the direction of the Forbidden Demon Area and then lowering his head to contemplate. With a casual pinch, the sea of flowers shattered and transformed into countless rules and regulations, finally harmonizing into a constantly branching and entangled light. And the thought of light only lasted for a moment, instantly turning into scattered flowers and withering one after another. Even the weight of fate cannot infer the reason for the emergence of the forbidden demon region, as well as the past and future. Without evidence or evidence, is it a new dimension? The beginning of darkness. The truth behind the escape of the first generation of gods. The starry sky has already boiled. The Faceless One, after the Divine Domain propaganda officer conveyed the order to prohibit approaching the forbidden demon area to various star domains, slowly disappeared into the shadow and disappeared. I don't know if the future is good or bad, but everything confirms the prophecy of the sequence slate, and the spirits in the starry sky are discussing it one after another. The forbidden demon area once topped the popular list on the Star Domain network, and all living beings had the delusion of going to the forbidden demon area to explore. The starry sky is vast and ever changing. The earth is as small as mustard and as small as 1,000 dust. But it also aroused the excitement of countless worlds, and the emergence of the forbidden demon zone gave birth to opportunities for all extraterrestrial inspirations. That coordinate is the original place. There must be a path to becoming a god hidden here. As the creaking mechanical voice disappeared, Xiao Yun suddenly froze in place, his arms began to tremble, and his face showed an angry expression. Got it, you can come across anything ghostly, right? Xiao Yun suddenly caught fire. Chow. Temo used to be reluctant to buy a pre-configured computer, and now he can't even use the wake.up system. It's better to just die. Xiao Yun sat on the ground with a disappointed expression on his face. Fate really didn't let me go. I was already unlucky enough in the past, but I didn't expect to continue to be unlucky. The sky seemed to be responding to Xiao Yun's mood, as scattered raindrops began to fall. The rain seemed to come in time, at least to quench his thirst. Helpless, Xiao Yun quickly began to busy himself again, laying plastic film on the small nest and burying it with heavy objects on all sides. And start digging a ditch. Build a water pit on the ground using the remaining plastic film to store drinking water. After finishing these tasks, Xiao Yun quickly crawled into his small nest and quietly listened to the strong winds and thunderstorms outside. The world has indeed changed, but Xiao Yun seems to be excluded again. Xiao Yun constantly pondered in his heart why he was always so unlucky, as he had always been out of place with his surroundings since childhood. A lonely life without friends. But how should we survive now, and how can we talk about becoming stronger? Xiao Yun attempted to manipulate the unknown energy in the void, but with a mocking thought in his heart, he realized that he might also be able to manipulate elements, just without a system. But the result is obvious, all attempts ended in failure. The outside world has become increasingly chaotic, with various strange sounds appearing. However, Xiao Yun didn't pay much attention and just kept thinking about the content of the voice broadcast in the void just now. I don't know what the regional energy, elements, deviations, and unknown influences mentioned in the special voice refer to. Immortals really exist. Is it too kind of someone to come all the way and just boot and load the system for free? Xiao Yun sat cross-legged, holding back his hunger and contemplating everything he had just experienced. Xiao Yun sat in a small nest with a complex mood, watching the outside world as the rain pattered, falling onto the plastic film and playing a lullaby. Hey, it's so lonely. I never imagined that one day I would be so free. The sadness in my heart slowly unfolded, and I began to fantasize about everything that would happen in the future. Chapter 3. A dark and warm world. You are listening at novelful.audio. Faced with the attack of endless black crazy creatures, Xiao Yun's situation is precarious. A round of blood enveloped the world, surrounded by enemies. It was crazy and cruel dogs biting, and sharp claws tearing apart. Farther away, an endless black wave surged toward Xiao Yun. Everything in sight is attacking Xiao Yun. All our enemies, all our enemies. Xiao Yun waved the black mist around him desperately to resist, and endless pain and regret burst out of his heart. However, these painful emotions gradually transformed into indescribable resentment. Damn it, you all, damn it. I want to kill all of you trash. Xiao Yun roared and slaughtered the black creatures around him. As a huge black eye opened from the sky and stared closely at Xiao Yun with white pupils, Xiao Yun felt a tremble in his body. A feeling of disappointment couldn't help but disperse all his emotions. Why? Why? The dark tide surged forward, followed by countless giant hands surrounding him, and Xiao Yun was immediately engulfed by darkness. Hoo. Xiao Yun struggled to sit up, his head clattering against the ceiling of the small broken nest. Hiss ah. The long-lost pain pulled Xiao Yun back to reality from endless anger. What kind of dream is this? When I wake up, I feel like I'm in a daze, but fortunately, the big bump on top of my head quickly frees me from anger and confusion. The dream is shrouded in confusion, and apart from remembering to resist bravely, there is nothing else to remember. Xiao Yun peeled off the plastic film and looked out at the outside world. The surrounding environment has undergone countless changes, completely no longer the scene of yesterday's ruins being destroyed like wildfire. Is this the Earth's anomaly? If it weren't, the ruins wouldn't have recognized this place as the human world on Earth. Although it was still dim, the rain seemed to carry various spiritual energy, hanging on various black branches, constantly shining brightly. Is this the element mentioned by mechanical sound that the world has become less lifeless? Flowers, plants, and trees were all growing wildly around, and various tall plants were also emerging from the ruins, but no animals were seen. Xiao Yun crouched down to observe the plants, which seemed to be all black. What kind of plant is this? It seems like I've never seen it before. It won't move, it's poisonous. Can you eat it? Gollum. My stomach started ringing. Yes, I haven't eaten for a long time. It's rare for the brain to still remember being hungry, whether it's often bumped into and already foolish. Immediately burst into laughter for some unknown reason, but found it amusing. Eating unknown plants is indeed a serious illness, and the brain is not enough. Xiao Yun touched his chin. It was really an exciting day, and the atmosphere brought by the surrounding environment was uplifting. I don't know if I can see any other creatures today, but thinking of this, Xiao Yun couldn't help but feel excited and waved his baseball bat twice. Then he picked up his backpack and held a baseball bat to patrol around the small nest, confirming that there were no hidden dangers, and slowly walked out. Ah! Why has it always been cloudy? The sun has already disappeared, but I feel like the amount of light should be the sun's presence, Xiao Yun muttered to himself. At this point, Xiao Yun was already at a distance from Xiaohua, but a disappointed expression appeared on his face. No matter which direction he looked at it from, it was the same without any gains. Almost overnight, all modern items were almost corroded, leaving only a few buildings standing not far away, leaving a lasting impression on people. It seems that all organic matter is being corroded, except for metals, soil, and plastics. Everything else seems to have disappeared. Everything around is too unfamiliar to recognize any plants. Even the way back is covered by lush plants. Xiao Yun is as hungry as a shrimp skin. If he doesn't work hard to tighten his belt, he may even lose his pants. It's done. At this moment, the hungry Xiao Yun's eyes were dizzy and he had no ability to search. He was powerless and suddenly tripped over a branch, falling to the ground with a click, breathing heavily. Do you want to eat some soil to hold on and then look around? Thinking about it, a strange aroma wafted from the surrounding air, delicious roasted chicken, roasted goose, cheesecake, beer and fruit. How could there be such a mixed smell? Xiao Yun felt like he was almost starving and couldn't care too much. There is nothing to eat nearby, Xiao Yun just wants to survive. In a daze, I actually saw countless black whiskers growing inside my body, constantly wriggling in a certain direction. Weak Xiao Yun felt like he had strength again, and his body began to wriggle and crawl in a strange way. Even I don't know what exactly happened to me, I just remember gradually approaching the source of the fragrance. The speed of the movement behind him was simply extraordinary, more like a crawling spider, but Xiao Yun didn't feel particularly strange, as if everything was in line with common sense. Finally, all the eye-catching plants disappeared from the corner of his eyes, leaving only a quiet valley ahead. The fragrance came from below, where there was a huge cream castle, biscuit tiles, cream roof, beer river, milk-flavored fountain, and all kinds of meat. With a run-up, Xiao Yun jumped into the valley like a madman. It's really delicious. Xiao Yun ate all the food below in big gulps, laughing wildly while eating, tears of excitement streaming down his face. In the past, Xiao Yun worked hard to save money. I often pass by the school after work, drooling at the exceptionally exquisite and fragrant food, but I can only gulp it down on my own, gradually filling my heart with pain. But now all the desires have been released. Everything is so wonderful and filled with a joyful mood. This is delicious. This is also delicious. Crispy cakes, peppery steak, meat sausage, spicy hot bean curd, refreshing rice. Meat dumplings, soy sauce pig's feet, cream ice cream, fruit cheesecake, braised chicken, roast duck, spicy boiled fish, and a refreshing beer when you lean down. Wow, it's really refreshing. My body is soaked in the soup of food, and I grab everything and stuff it into my mouth. The desire for food never diminishes during the eating process, but instead intensifies. At this point, Xiao Yun's veins were already exposed and his eyes were gouging outwards. The body wriggles and grows like waves. The wriggling tentacles on the body have become as thick and thin as adult arms. And those black tentacles kept sweeping away the surrounding food, constantly reaching Xiao Yun's mouth to help him eat. Hungry. Still hungry. The hunger that has never stopped. I have to continue eating. All the light began to disappear, everything was being soaked in darkness, and the brightly colored cream castle turned into a blood-flowing physical rockery. Xiao Yun seemed to sense the changes around him, and tears of despair appeared in the corners of his eyes. But soon, I felt extremely relieved in my heart. Anyway, living alone in this world is not much fun, so it's better to just let it go. Being able to eat such delicious food before death can also be considered fulfilling one's wish. Xiao Yun slowly closed his eyes, with a smile on his face, quietly waiting for the disappearance of his consciousness. But everything that remained unchanged for a long time made Xiao Yun lose patience and angrily open his eyes. Seeing everything in front of me, I couldn't help but be shocked. The world began to distort, and all colors became fantastical with no shape to describe. There was only an inexplicable sense of familiarity, as if I was about to assimilate into them. The black vortex was wriggling, and the wriggling tentacles on his body lifted the soft and boneless Xiao Yun. A huge naked eye emitted a faint light from below, filled with a decaying aura and an indescribable stench. Maggots were faintly visible above. The entire tilted underground is the eye surface of the giant eye. Xiao Yun actually felt compassion from this huge eye. Feeling a kind of family care. Who are you? Xiao Yun struggled to reveal his words and could only turn them into strange syllables. The mouth seems to have disappeared. Everything has lost consciousness and can only speak with one's own consciousness. Don't leave. Xiao Yun suddenly wanted to save his huge eyes. Ko Juyen just silently stared at him, several thick tentacles caressing Xiao Yun's cheek. Without waiting for Xiao Yun to react, he slowly disappeared and melted into a black river, winding around Xiao Yun and wriggling away. As his giant eyes disappeared, Xiao Yun, who was immersed in the black river, felt an unusually comfortable energy of life, and his own breath suddenly surged. The slippery tentacles wrapped around him, giving him a sense of security that had been lost for a long time. Although I still want to see that giant eye, I don't know why it makes me dependent and lose my fear. But I couldn't even move, helpless, and could only sleep in the warm darkness. Chapter 4. Life slightly improves. You are listening at novelfull.audio. How long did I sleep? Xiao Yun said in silence. Repeatedly jumping horizontally between dreams and reality. Xiao Yun stood up and looked up, as the light penetrated through the dark mist and shone into the dimly lit canyon. Finally getting rid of his nightmare, Xiao Yun squatted down and opened his eyes wide to look at the blurry reflection of himself on the water surface. Rubbing the face hard doesn't seem to turn into any monster. I just feel like my eyes are all over my body, my surroundings become clearer, I no longer feel hungry, and I feel very satisfied and fulfilled. The clothes have turned into rags, and backpacks and other items have been lost. Xiao Yun felt inexplicably satisfied looking at his beggar image. It's so comfortable, even though reality is reality, something must have happened here. A bitter feeling of lucky escape rose in my heart, and it seems that this situation will not decrease in the future. Xiao Yun is preparing to follow the direction of the river flow to see if he can leave this unforgettable canyon. I walked for a long time, not tired at all, but I really can't reach the end. Just as Xiao Yun thought he was going in the wrong direction, a foul odor came from the front. So Xiao Yun stopped and looked ahead. The goal should still be far away, I don't know what kind of foul odor it emits. Xiao Yun was stunned for a moment, then he ran back. No need to think it must be some kind of monster. There is killing intent. It's hunting me. I'm going to be a strange creature. Xiao Yun twisted his head 180 degrees and looked back. A huge black cat with two heads looked at Xiao Yun, as if it was running towards him. His face is ugly and ferocious, with saliva splattering, but he also possesses the agility and speed of being a feline creature. My head. How can my head twist to this extent? Xiao Yun was greatly surprised and quickly turned his head around. Not only that, but also with strong footwork, he was able to maintain a certain distance from the monster. 6. This is a special ability. Xiao Yun suddenly understood that this was an ability bestowed upon him by his giant eyes. It seems like I can manipulate my body movements freely, construct any shape without any discomfort. Xiao Yun is starting to get excited at this moment. Xiao Yun doesn't want to run anymore, he wants to practice his combat skills. See what kind of change has happened to yourself, run away abruptly and look back. The black cat did not change slowly, but felt surprised by the abnormal behavior of its prey and rushed towards the mountain wall on the right. Insert your claws tightly into the stone and stare at its prey with 3 eyes. After being scrutinized by the black cat, the prey was indeed very thin and weak, and then quickly made a move to kill it with 1 strike. As the white claws were about to approach him, Xiao Yun suddenly flashed and a smile appeared on his face. With a sneer, Xiao Yun lowered himself from the black cat's belly and casually scratched it, but it didn't seem to cause any effective damage and instead angered the black cat. With a flick of the tail, the black cat turned around and pounced. The stench in the kitten's mouth was really nauseating, and then Xiao Yun smiled and grabbed his hand towards the face of the black cat again. His whole body seemed to float up and float behind the black cat's head with a huge force rushing towards him. Then he deeply inserted his other hand into the nearby cliff and pulled hard, causing the black cat's head to burst into a foul blood spray. Is this my ability to change my body? Temo Lousy is about to take off, ahaha. Xiao Yun shook his hands with the foul-smelling blood and laughed out loud, ignoring the roar of the black cat monster. Black mist appeared on the black cat, and its figure suddenly disappeared. Oh. It's still too slow, little kitten. Xiao Yun smiled and appeared on the side where the black cat disappeared at a faster speed than the black cat. Quickly gave the black cat a bottom-up open cut. The intestines and liver instantly flowed out of the ground, feeling dirty and nauseous. At this moment, the black cat could only struggle in pain and ultimately perish. Xiao Yun was able to easily observe this black cat monster, and it was probably due to the influence of the local environment that the mutation occurred. But what's even more exciting is that I have such a powerful body, and it seems like I will never be tired. Xiao Yun jumped up and down, testing his agility and speed. Suddenly striking the body of the black cat with a claw, it easily broke through the thick black cat fur. Xiao Yun laughed heartily. Who else is there? Confine your pride and then clean the stains by the river. Looking at the claw marks he had left on the stone wall, it seemed like there was a way out. Then he took a deep leap and skillfully jumped on the raised stone wall, grabbing it with ease and firmly hanging it on the wall. I don't know how long it took, but Xiao Yun suddenly jumped out of the bottomless rift. After seeing the sun for a long time, I will return dressed in glory. Just as Xiao Yun was about to burst into poetry, he was surprised to find that almost all the black vegetation around him was aging and dying, and the sound of horse hooves could be heard from afar. Xiao Yun was filled with emotion and tried to keep himself normal. When encountering someone, be sure to say hello and then ask where to go. Can you take me with you? Xiao Yun made a draft in his stomach. Quietly chasing towards the sound of horse hooves. Two girls are riding on two incredibly sturdy big-headed horses, driving on an abandoned road. The two women have a neat and tidy complexion, which belongs to the type of small and delicate jade. They wear neat and quiet clothes, and there is a faint floral fragrance gently smelled. The contrast and cuteness of this young girl riding a horse collided with the heart of my single aristocrat. Who? With a soft chuckle, Xiao Yun slowly ran out of the distant forest and walked shyly towards the two girls. Can you take me for a ride? Me, I don't know what's going on, I woke up here. The eyes of the two women looking at me were filled with differences and surprises. Sure. We are both survivors of the disaster. If possible, you can also follow us to the survivors' gathering place. Her name is Wang Qian, and my name is Wang Jie. You can call us Xiao Qian, Xiao Jie. Have you been injured? My companion can use wooden elements for treatment, the other woman quickly said. Wait for her to say something about wooden elements. Oh, by the way, the light curtain should be a glow system. Xiao Yun suddenly burst into joy. It was so great that he finally didn't have to grope blindly to find his way. Xiao Yun lifted his head and looked at the smiling faces of the two women, feeling restless in his heart. Quickly replied. Okay, thank you. Can you help me explain what your system is all about? I don't seem to have installed the system, haha. Xiao Yun is a bit speechless at the moment. If only there were a system, there would be no need to be so blind. It looks really convenient. Let's hurry up first. It's getting dark soon, and we'll talk about it at the campsite. Later, Wang Qian dismounted and let me ride, and the two women shared the same horse. Although Xiao Yun has never ridden a horse, he can never lose his balance with his own ability. Looking at the surprised gazes of the two women, I secretly felt proud. Casually mentioned. You all have systems, and how could I have failed to install them? It seems that the development of extraterrestrial civilization is not possible. Looking at Xiao Yun's proud expression, the two women couldn't help but chuckle lightly. Really? It seems that the system doesn't want to install the system for you as soon as it looks like you're a beggar. Xiao Yun suddenly felt embarrassed. He had just been focused on the battle, with clothes all over his body. Although he loved this beggar style, he still felt embarrassed when others said it. Fortunately, the pants are still quite intact. Xiao Yun covered up his embarrassment with a cough and then spoke up. Alright, don't laugh anymore. Even if the horse runs so fast, it's not afraid of a stomachache. At this moment, Xiao Yun is still very happy in his heart and has met similar people. My heart is filled with expectations and fantasies for the future. Chapter 5. Camp Close Talk. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Is this the campsite? I thought I had arrived at the survivor gathering place. Xiao Yun rubbed his chin and observed the hidden camp. It seems like someone has already lived, built on the other end of the cliff, in a small cave valley dug. The facilities inside are very rudimentary, and the fire is clearly extinguished for not long. Next to it is a makeshift tent, while deeper down are some scattered suitcases and many daily necessities. Many have not been collected, and they appear very messy when placed on the ground. Wang Qian, are they walking so fast? Is there something urgent? Wang Jie suddenly became nervous and stared at Wang Qian beside her, saying casually. Yes, maybe there's something urgent, maybe we need to replenish in advance, so we went back in a hurry. At this moment, Xiao Yun was completely confused. Why did he feel something was wrong? Forget it. With my strength, there shouldn't be any problem. Don't be afraid of any monsters or monsters. Xiao Yun is full of confidence. I'll go out and pack the firewood, and you'll arrange the rest. Do you have any food? The two women seemed to have regained their calm smile and said, the ingredients are ready. You can go collect some firewood, and the storage has also bottomed out. Xiao Yun didn't think much, just felt like it should be a private matter, so he didn't feel too embarrassed to ask. Then turn around and leave the camp. The campsite is surrounded by trees, and the sky is dim. However, it is not difficult for Xiao Yun. His eyes seem to be better able to penetrate the darkness and see the appearance and shape of things. That's really good. Xiao Yun swiftly and quietly shuttled through the forest, observing the surroundings of the campsite. There are indeed traces of other horse hooves, and there are many. The air was filled with a faint smell of blood, indicating that something had indeed happened. Without much thought, he began to pick up the fallen branches around him, with careful and cautious movements, afraid of any sound coming out. Suddenly, I heard a cry of surprise. Xiao Yun quickly returned like a startled skylark. When they entered the cave campsite, it seemed that nothing major had happened, except that the two women were startled when they saw a mouse the size of a dog. The mouse was miserable. First, it was thrown off by the vine, and then it was fiercely crushed by a woman's stone all over its body. With a bang, a foul odor of garbage permeated the cave. Xiao Yun let out a sigh. It seemed that the two women were not very smart. They could have lived to this day, and this bloody stench would attract monsters to eat. Just when Xiao Yun was about to say he wanted to clean up, the stench slowly dissipated, followed by a faint scent of grass and wood. Cough and cough, it seems like I have some ability. The two women looked at Xiao Yun standing by the entrance of the cave in surprise. So fast, there's a lot of firewood needed for the night. Xiao Yun pointed to the cave entrance and said, moving over later should be enough. I heard you shouting and feeling a bit nervous just now, so that's why. After all, Xiao Yun began to hesitate and speak again. After all, facing two girls is so stressful. It's okay, it's just a fat mouse. Humph, we're actually going to cook you mouse soup. Then there was another chatter of playfulness. Beside the fire, everyone took turns telling their own stories, such as the giant stone man, which shook the earth and mountains. What kind of unknown luminous body in the sky, beautiful as if inducing various creatures. More of them are some mutated creatures, with terrifying and peculiar shapes. But they met the leader of the group. The team leader is very impressive, with one hand controlling the lava fireball in a domineering manner. He is so handsome that it's hard to extricate himself. He's like a dream lover. Obviously, the two women seem to have not taken into account the feelings of Xiao Yun next to them. Of course, Xiao Yun didn't feel much and was just curious about the leader's strength. Xiao Yun tells the story of being chased by a big monster, and having no obvious ability. He just feels strong and energetic, never tired at all, and walks briskly. No matter what kind of danger you face, you can escape. As for what you eat, it's just drinking water and eating expired food. The horror of the two women towards the big monster is self-evident. After all, the abilities of mutated creatures are different. Meeting and surviving is a kind of good luck. However, seeing Xiao Yun, there was no intention of continuing or inquiring. At this moment, the two women are clearly forgetting what Xiao Yun and they said about the system. Xiao Yun had to ask to see what the system looked like, but the two women hesitated again. This is private, and many of the data inside are very detailed and cannot be shared with others casually. This is also the principle set by the team leader. However, I can tell you the intelligence in the system, Xiao Qian said with a sneak glance at Xiao Jie. Okay. Although Xiao Yun felt there was no problem, he vaguely felt that the two women seemed to be hiding something from me. The ancient god of darkness wandered in a different dimension, and a certain god was discovered and fiercely clashed with him, ultimately perishing together. The enormous energy generated by the death of the god penetrated our star domain, the Milky Way. And before, we were just a secret realm without elements, without various elemental energies, and the energy of the god's death burst changed all of this. That is to say, all changes in our surrounding environment are influenced by elements. It can be understood in this way. Moreover, smaller basic elements are the basic units that make up other elements, and they are also a significant part of the leakage of elements. We can use basic elements to transform them into our own talent elements. But too much energy from the dark elements first affected Earth, causing a mutation on our planet. Many creatures undergo mutations, becoming darker and more bloody. Make living beings full of killing desires and lose their rationality. Of course, there are also other creatures that have not lost their rationality in receiving power, such as you. Speaking of which, Xiao Yun recalled the beam of light he had encountered and the heavy deep sea, with some differences but generally the same. I always feel like that's not the case. The elemental energy that comes from the external impact endows us with a constitution that can accept basic elements. And the gods have bestowed upon us the gift of primitive elements, the ability to transform the elements present in the surrounding environment and use them. God's mercy allows us, the abandoned human race, to fully utilize the elemental power created by our own talents, and to use and attack and destroy them in parallel. And the most important thing is to resist the erosion of darkness. After being eroded by darkness, they can only become disorderly monsters and lose their rationality. They are the most terrifying beings. Dark erosion is the dark element of the ancient Dark King. Yes. The environment has become increasingly harsh due to the impact, and it's all due to that despicable Dark King, Xiao Jie said angrily. Then, based on the amount of energy of the elements we possess, we divide them into equal orders. The first order Qingguang can sense the existence of the elements. The second level Dawn Light can manipulate surrounding elements and absorb and accept them. Level 3 low light players can use the system to store skills and experience, which can be learned and used. The fourth level Dawn is more proficient in mastering various elemental skills and enhancing their power. A fifth level Morning Light practitioner can experience a awakening of the system's ability to store energy in guide like a team leader, becoming even stronger and gaining additional innate abilities. However, we only know this, after all, only the team leader successfully reached the Morning Glory stage just now, and we are not aware of their abilities and signatures afterwards. Oh, by the way, we also learned all of this by continuously improving our level and unlocking the knowledge of the system's guidebook. It seems that the system also mentions talented individuals like you. They often have exceptional talents and unknown abilities, and as long as they remain rational, it is still considered normal. Although Xiao Yun remained calm, he seemed to notice something. I should be related to dark elements. I'll go, I won't be beaten to death by others, will I? I don't seem to have any other feelings besides being close to the dark elements, that's definitely true. But how can I know and develop without the analysis of glow systems? The two women saw that Xiao Yun was absent-minded and immediately started laughing. Isn't it very chaotic and strange? These are all intelligence shared by the team leader, and we are just level 3 low light players. Moreover, the system can also store some things, have space, and can analyze our own data in detail, so we cannot show you. Xiao Yun paused for a moment. Then let's rest and sleep. Perhaps you'll only know more information when you arrive at the gathering place. Xiao Yun, go sleep near the cave entrance. Your sensitivity is high, it's all up to you. The two women began to hold on to the space and take out bedding, yawning. And asked, do you need a bed quilt? No need, no problem. It's just a cold breeze and I don't feel anything at all. Xiao Yun seemed to have absorbed a lot of information at the moment, but still had many doubts but couldn't express them. He pretended to be very tired and walked to the entrance of the cave, setting up a tent and preparing to fall asleep. Before going to bed, don't forget to instruct the two women to customize a hammer-like weapon for him. Chapter 6. Dark Forest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The strong wind suddenly howled, and the warm flames created by the fire gradually dissipated. Xiao Yun, who closed his eyes to rest his mind, slowly opened his eyes and something approached him. Xiao Yun tiptoed closer to the tent where the two women were, shaking vigorously. Shoo, monsters come from bad people. Although Xiao Yun is not very nervous, he needs to consider the safety of his guide. As the flames of the campsite mysteriously dissipated, the surrounding environment plunged into eerie, icy, and piercing darkness. I can only hear the small nasal sounds of two women here. Xiao Yun looked towards the cave entrance and noticed something flowing in. A pungent stench like decay surrounded the entire campsite. At 3 o'clock at the tent entrance, attack! Xiao Yun shouted fiercely, attempting to launch a monster attack first and intimidate the incoming monsters. With a loud roar, the ground collapsed ahead and countless thorns danced wildly in the cave. During this period, there were screams of pain and the sound of chewing and biting from the monster, indicating that the two women had taken action. Xiao Yun quickly grabbed the two women and retreated. The two women tried to ignite flames, but it was of no use. Finally, they threw a stone with electric current shining into the pit where the monster was located. As the faint light gradually lit up, Xiao Yun and the others saw the monster's appearance clearly. The software is like a human, maintaining its basic human appearance, with a constantly dripping, mesmerizing liquid all over its body. Mouth covered the whole body, with white teeth and eerie fear. The monster slid up and crouched down to crush the glowing stone. The surrounding environment has once again fallen into darkness. Xiao Jia exclaimed in horror, "It's Zitao. He's alienated. Zitao, is this the life form produced by human alienation?" Xiao Yun looked at the monster and asked. Did he have any abilities before? Ability, do you mean talent? When he participated in the encirclement, the water element transformed his arm into a rope and tripped the stone monster. Can you still wake him up? No, there are only precedents of human mutations that have never been awakened. This monster doesn't seem to want to attack us. It's a bit strange to stay there motionless. Should we try to awaken it? Xiao Yun was full of sympathy for the dark creatures at the moment. After all, he seemed to be similar to him. And the monster only stared straight at the two women, obviously not considering me. No way, the two women concluded the conversation decisively. The rough thorns suddenly became difficult and tightly bound the monster. A huge stone appeared above the monster, and with a loud roar, the monster was smashed into a bloody mess. The liquid splashed out, and various mouthparts detached from the body and flew towards Xiao Yun and the others. At that moment, Xiao Yun had already noticed the splashing mouthparts in the air. He picked up the weapons made by the two women for Xiao Yun and struck them with a clever stick, causing all the mouthparts to be hammered away. Finally, he keenly noticed that one mouthpiece seemed to be very hard and did not break open like other mouthpieces, and was rapidly ejecting towards the door. After all, he didn't notice the hostility like the two-headed cats before, and Xiao Yun didn't pursue him either. At this moment, the cave had nothing but a nauseating odor. The two women were trembling and paralyzed on the ground, unable to break free from the fear they had just experienced. However, Xiao Yun joked, "Why didn't we talk about close combat with monsters before? What kind of dark monsters are not afraid at all, and when it comes to this little monster, they are so scared? No, whoa. It's due to excessive use of elements. The monster just now clearly has far more strength than ordinary monsters. We are only level 3 shimmers, and of course, we can only give it our all. But surprisingly, there was no shock at all. The monster that Zitao had transformed into was really terrifying. Xiao Jie quickly escaped from her fear and asked, "Xiao Yun, how strong are you? Have you been injured? Wang Qian, please treat him quickly." "No, it's just a small monster at your disposal," Xiao Yun said casually. I began to ponder in my heart why the monster did not seem to have any substantial abilities, and why the system prompted me to run quickly. However, I couldn't detect any hostility, only the feeling of taking a glance. Then he crouched down again to observe a puddle of liquid with mouthparts. This mouthpiece is particularly crispy and seems to shatter at a touch. I didn't wait for Xiao Yun to finish thinking. The two women began to hastily pack up their things, apparently preparing to run away. At this moment, the crisis still exists. It is indeed correct to walk quickly, and then Xiao Yun used the firelight to observe the hammer in his hand while the two women were packing up. The wood seems to be repeatedly squeezed, the handle is exceptionally smooth, and the weapon head is made of wooden thorns that seem to have been turned into stone, making it look very sturdy and durable. Xiao Yun took the lead in leaving the cave and began to guard. Surprisingly, the two horses were still alive. It seems that ordinary creatures cannot detect that liquid wriggling way of walking. But can't the horses distinguish the scent? Wait a moment. Xiao Yun held up his weapon to stop the two women behind him from wanting to step forward and lead their horses away. "There's something wrong with this horse, attack. Hurry up." The two women seemed a bit hesitant but trusted Xiao Yun very much. Then, with a loud collision, the ground quickly sank, and the vines attacked rapidly. Under continuous entanglement, the two horses quickly exploded, turning into countless white liquids wriggling in place, as if they had taken life. Xiao Qian immediately vomited on the side, while Xiao Jie, with a pale face and a shaky figure, finally squatted down. "It seems that we can only walk forward. This place is not suitable for staying for a long time, let's hurry." Xiao Yun looked seriously at his other companions. The two goddesses were pale in color, but with the help of forest elements, they regained some of their strength and ran with Xiao Yun, holding torches. The strange sounds coming from around filled this forest area with an atmosphere of fear. Of course, Xiao Yun is not afraid, it's just that the relationship between the two goddesses has changed greatly, as if frightened. Before coming, the entire forest was silent, but now it seems as if it has come to life, emitting various sounds, and many things in the field of vision are constantly shaking. Tears streamed down Xiao Qian's face. "If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have been able to embark on an adventure." In the end, there were only the two of us left, sobbing. Listening to Xiao Qian's crying, Xiao Yun said lightly, "Don't cry, shut up and run well. After all, he's running for his life. Surprisingly, there is still time to cry. If I abandon these two guides, I may run away and fly, but I still have to go to the gathering place, and my heart is filled with anger." There seemed to be something staring at us deep in the forest, and Xiao Yun was extremely anxious. If both guides were gone, how could he get to the gathering place? The sound of tearing and biting gradually approached. "Chao, Zitao, you still haven't let these two little sisters go. Don't blame me for not giving you a chance." Xiao Yun gritted his teeth and thought to himself. A wall of various combinations of biological corpses appeared ahead as if trying to trap them, while behind them were tens of thousands of chasing white mouthparts. The two women unleashed their elemental attacks and destroyed the obstacles blocking their way forward. It seems that the potential is indeed infinite when trying hard, and Xiao Yun just swung his hammer to shoot down the mouthpiece that flew towards him. As time passed, "It's almost here, that's the direction of the gathering place." Xiao Jie seemed to see hope, her eyes lit up, but the next moment she fell into hell again. "Is there a river near here?" A sudden mutation appeared ahead. A turbid and foul-smelling river blocked the way not far ahead, and a person's face in the river writhed in pain as they looked towards them. And each face is a facial feature of the Zitao monster, with eyes constantly wriggling. Damn it, the two women seemed to be overly frightened and exhausted of all elemental energy. With a blink of an eye, they quickly fainted and fell to the ground unable to get up. However, Xiao Yun had no choice but to lift the two women on his shoulders, accelerating towards the direction of the foul-smelling river without slowing down in speed. Smelling the fragrance of orchids, Xiao Yun's expression became calm. I must rush out today. Xiao Yun no longer concealed his abilities, and his legs and feet became invisible and huge, making it more conducive to running. Four pitch-black arms extended infinitely from his back, and he shouted towards the front. Number 34, step back and take responsibility for the consequences. Number 34, the sound is like thunder, with a majestic momentum. The distant morning light reflected on the strange Xiao Yun, making this scene exceptionally spectacular. As the wave of mouthparts approached behind, the river where all the faces of Zitao gathered in front changed. All the faces stared straight at them, bleeding from the corners of their eyes. All faces began to roar, and an incredibly foul-smelling breath roared in. Then die. Immediately, she threw the two women on her shoulders and hugged them with her hands behind her. The other arms turned into sharp claws and began tearing apart everything in front and behind. Under the strong stench, Xiao Yun kept his clear mind agile and jumped on various things. Various types of arms are constantly growing from the back and chest, tearing around or sweeping through all obstacles with the arms. Damn you! Xiao Yun glared angrily, his body burning as if blood was boiling. All the heretics who approached Xiao Yun would be torn apart by their claws and crushed into thick blood. All heretics cannot approach Xiao Yun and the others. The morning light was brighter, reflecting on Xiao Yun's angry face. At this moment, the monster seemed to have received a signal and scattered in an instant, while Xiao Yun seemed completely unsatisfied and continued to pursue. Tear, tear, tear. Xiao Yun felt the joy of battle for the first time. Everything was exceptionally wonderful. It was so satisfying. Is this my ability? Ha ha ha. Xiao Yun laughed heartily, tearing apart the monster being pursued. It wasn't until all the monsters in front of me had almost disappeared that I stopped. Feeling a bit hungry, Xiao Yun restrained his arms that had grown out of his body, reached out and stuffed a struggling face into his mouth. It tasted a bit like jellyfish skin, and then tasted this biting mouthpiece. With each bite, it crunchy and filled with the taste of peanuts. The taste is not bad. Xiao Yun ate and saw that the water-faced monster only had a shiny magic core left, emitting an endless tempting aura of dark elements. Xiao Yun, on the other hand, didn't even want to roll over and swallow it. Then there was a tingling sensation, and Xiao Yun's body grew densely covered with eyes observing the surroundings, while his hands and feet grew additional mouthparts and teeth, constantly dripping with hungry mucus. The sun finally rises, illuminating all the scenery. This is the first time Xiao Yun has seen the light of the sun, so bright and full of hope. The remaining limbs and bodies of the monster gradually carbonized and burned under the illumination of light, turning into black ash and drifting away with the wind. Chapter 7. Camps and Cities. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Carrying the two women for a short distance, the scenery suddenly became clear. Rows of tall wooden stakes surround the campsite, and further away, there is a stone fortress surrounded by cement, with the buildings seemingly returning to the past social life. It's really not small. Xiao Yun sighed so deeply. There were already many people riding horses back and forth to investigate the black forest around the campsite, while Xiao Yun was surrounded by a few people riding horses to inquire about various matters. Where are you from as a survivor, and what is your name? Little Beard, the leader, asked Xiao Yun. I escaped from the other side of the forest. My name is Xiao Yun, and on my shoulders are unconscious Wang Qian and Wang Jie. Xiao Yun looked at the sturdy man in front of him and couldn't help but express a hint of admiration in his heart. Xiao Qian. Xiao Jie, exclaimed the guards and soldiers riding horses around, quickly settling the two women on a horse. Xiao Yun's shoulder relaxed, and he sighed in his heart that he had finally arrived at the gathering place. It was great to finally rest and settle down. Little Beard looked respectful and quickly dismounted to shake hands with Xiao Yun. You can call me Lu Qi, I am the captain of the Southern City Wall Guard. Okay, Captain Lu Qi. But let's forget about heroes. You really think too much of me. I'm just running fast, but it seems like I heard that the team they followed was completely destroyed. Hey, this matter is a long story. Let's go in and talk about it. Little Beard touched his chin and his face darkened. Then they walked all the way to the campsite with Xiao Yun. The world has officially entered the post-apocalyptic era, and according to the intelligence we know, the entire planet has expanded by an unknown number of times. Humans have been divided across different regions, and campsites like ours can only be connected to two. After all, the system communication only has a certain range, which is so far away that we cannot directly contact each other. And these two human gathering places were also obtained through mutual contact between adventurers from the other two regions and explorers who went out to explore maps. Have you all awakened your talents? Do you have any elemental skills? According to the system bestowed by the god of machines, some humans were the first to develop their innate elements. There is also a portion of ordinary people who do not have a system due to special circumstances. However, they have exploitable talents and elements in their bodies, but they become weaker without the development of the system. You should be able to see them later. Captain Lu Qi seemed unwilling to say more, so Xiao Yun had to stop asking and quietly follow him, walking towards a huge wooden city wall building in the distance. Shortly thereafter, Xiao Yun and his companions officially crossed the first thick wooden gate. At this moment, there are crowds constantly repairing the city walls, transporting wood, and building small wooden houses here. After Xiao Yun's observation, it seems that these are all the abilities that Lu Qi just mentioned without systematic assistance. Being unable to control talents means being unable to survive in a monster-filled wilderness and unable to utilize one's own talent elements. The image of his emaciated body made Xiao Yun's gaze furrow and he immediately turned to the other side. On the other side is a food like congee and rice soup, although I don't know what kind of food it is. But the group of thin and weak unsystematic people still had a smile on their faces, forming a long queue to collect food. Xiao Yun frowned and asked, how could there be so many unsystematic people who are so desolate? Comrade Xiao Yun, you are not aware of this. Food is extremely scarce. We must ensure that those who have successfully awakened the system have enough food and clothing to better defend against the continuous invasion of dark monsters. Moreover, we also need to prepare the rations for Reconnaissance Corps' individual soldiers, constantly collect external intelligence, and draw maps for us to prevent danger. At this moment, Little Beard also frowned and said with deep pain. Of course, as long as they can freely control their own elements and talents, they can also enter the second-level city for allocation and occupancy. And here are some newcomers who come later, so it is appropriate to deal with them here. The monsters or unclean beings hidden in the Black Forest would be quite dangerous if placed in our human city headquarters. Xiao Yun's words gave him some understanding of this human gathering place, and he felt quite helpless. Do I also need to live here and work? Xiao Yun sighed as he seemed to understand his position. Cough cough, Your Excellency is a hero. You have provided us with very useful intelligence information. So I can help you report it above and apply for a reconnaissance officer in a peripheral camp for you. This is a newly organized camp reconnaissance branch, and both accommodation and food are guaranteed. Oh, by the way, the salary and income of us soldiers are also the same. Surprisingly, there was still a salary. Although Xiao Yun was very worried, his own conditions were indeed very good and he didn't say anything. Little Beard immediately waved his hand towards a little boy in the distance. Dia, come and lead the hero to stroll around the campsite and introduce the recent developments. I have some other things to do, so I'll leave for now. After speaking, he disappeared with the security guard on horseback into the distant main road. Okay, Captain. A child with yellow hair ran over in a hurry. You are the hero who ran out of the dark forest with intelligence. Wow, you are so strong that even if you run into a water face, you can run out. Dia looked at Xiao Yun with admiration on his face, whistling joyfully. Looking at the thin and frail child in front of him, who was 13 or 14 years old, Xiao Yun felt waves of sadness in his heart for some reason. Let's go, Dia. Take me around the campsite. You can call me Xiao Yun directly. Good Sir Xiao Yun. I heard that Xiao Yun was somewhat helpless. Let's go to the Adventure Association to receive a salary, which was arranged by the captain. Immediately, the two of them began to cross the construction site crowd and enter the noisy and crowded market. It seemed that there was always a possibility of rushing to the big event no matter where they went. Surrounded by bustling crowds promoting and selling daily necessities produced by urban factories, as well as some unknown black foods. Sir Xiao Yun, this is the market of our campsite. You can buy all kinds of things you need as long as you think they are useful. The price is much cheaper than the market in the city. Walking further ahead is your place of residence. I remember that the place you are going to live in seems to be a place called the Reconnaissance Department. It should be in the northwest direction, near the west gate. The buildings there are quite impressive. Dia sighed and seemed to envy Xiao Yun. What about the Adventure Association? It's right next to the bar, just pass through the big episode and you'll be there, right in front. Then Dia ran quickly, obviously seeing some acquaintances. The little boy threw himself into the arms of a plainly dressed woman, both of whom were full of laughter. And Xiao Yun looked at them from behind as if he was touched and wanted to cry. But it just sour my nose, suppressing the change in my emotions. Mom, the captain gave me a day off and I'll go to work tomorrow. The little boy looked at his mother with joy on his face. Okay, the captain is a good person. He eats black ferns at night, fresh and freshly picked. My mother casually said, looking at Xiao Yun and waving her hand to show goodwill. But I have to come back later. I have to take this officer to visit the campsite. Dia left his mother's embrace and turned to run toward Xiao Yun. Why don't you reunite with your mother for a while longer? I can go shopping by myself. Don't you come back often? Xiao Yun couldn't bear to disturb the two of them. It's better to go shopping on your own. No, Officer Xiao Yun. This is also part of my job, and it will be recorded by the examiners. I can come back once every 2 weeks, and I can also meet my mother frequently. Tested by. Well, it's just recording the movements of our camp personnel and whether the workload is reasonable. Forget it, let's go to the association first. Dia seemed to furrow his brows and recall some unpleasant memories. And Xiao Yun didn't continue to ask, but slowly opened one eye inside his scalp to look at the strange shadows that existed within the surrounding shadows. This sense of monitored gaze should be what Big Teeth refers to as the detector. Chapter 8. Acquaintances. You are listening at novelful.audio. It has to be said that this adventure association has a medieval flavor and is more than one level better than other surrounding buildings. The people who come and go are often those in charge who appear to have a certain status. Xiao Yun walked alone to the bar, and people reading wall posters around him all looked over and started whispering. He can't be a monster, can he? How could he possibly rush out of the encirclement of the water face? Anyone who is targeted by the water face has already become a part of it. I heard he was carrying 2 women and running away. His strength is really impressive. I don't know what it feels like to carry those 2 inner city beauties. Is it very soft and fragrant? Then there was a burst of laughter. Ignoring the surrounding discussions, Xiao Yun directly talked to the bartender. I heard you can receive your salary here. I am a new scout. Okay, detective, please wait a moment. As the screen unfolded, the deacon continued to input certain information. Then he took out a bag of purple coins with a sparkling elemental aura. You keep it, this is 100 amethyst coins set up according to the 3 major regions. They are processed from minerals produced in natural mines. The white coins represent a market value of 1 yuan, the purple coins represent a market value of 100 yuan, and the gold coins represent a market value of 10,000 yuan. You have successfully registered as an adventurer in the Red Mountain and Sea region, and can come to the association frequently to complete tasks in the future. You will receive monthly salary based on performance. What are the 3 major regions? The 3 major regions are the Red Mountain Sea region, the Inner Mountain region, and the Blue Sea region. When Xiao Yun picked up the amethyst coin and was thinking about how to hide it, a group of muscular men stood up and stopped him at the door. Young man, you have to pay the territory fee. This campsite is our territory, and anyone who comes new must pay the protection fee. A group of big men with sinister expressions stared fiercely at Xiao Yun. Xiao Yun, on the other hand, observed the people around him and seemed to have run away completely. It seems that the people have been suffering for a long time. It seems that I must teach these bullies a lesson. But it seems like someone is covering up in the backstage, isn't it, that I can't kill him? It's so despicable. As a pair of powerful hands from behind approached and tried to hold on to Xiao Yun's elbow gave him a hard thrust, and he quickly jumped up to support the bully who was holding his stomach behind him with his front foot, like a rabbit jumping over the head of the bully who was holding his stomach behind him. Water whip. With a wave of his palm, the leader of the bully swiftly hit Xiao Yun's chest with a small stream of water, like a whip, and slammed it against the suddenly erect majestic stone wall. Why are you bullying the newcomers again? Shenji, you're tired of life, right? You're waiting for me to message the team leader. Xiao Yun tilted his head and saw a familiar and thin figure slowly emerging from behind the bully. It seemed to be Xiao Jie. The recovery is not slow, seems to be stronger. Xiao Yun's heart was filled with doubts. I dare not, it's not an order from the city for us to test the strength of the newcomers, ha ha ha. Shenji quickly led a group of young men to casually move up and down. This matter is not over, we must compensate Xiao Yun for his mental loss. It's not a small gesture of respect, cough cough, I still have some time to go back in advance. Shenji handed a small bag, smeared oil on the soles of his feet, and ran away with a group of younger brothers in a disheveled manner. At this moment, Xiao Yun feels that he also has a background. Xiao Jie walked briskly to Xiao Yun's side, stuffed the money bag into his hand, and took Xiao Yun's hand. Why, they just arranged for you to stay here without letting you live in the city. It's really despicable. I'll go back and talk to the team leader, and you'll also move into the city. Let's go to the city and have a big meal now. At this moment, Xiao Yun blushed and coughed twice, taking Xiao Jie's hand off her arm. Let's just forget it, it's better for me outside the city. After all, when I go to a place, I have to follow the rules of that place, and even I can't be an exception. Oh, by the way, Xiao Jie, how is Xiao Qian? Is everything okay? Humph, of course it's almost the same. Thanks to your blessings. You're really brainless, it's a pity. How can we repay the life-saving kindness of the 2 girls by promising each other with our lives? Hee 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 hee. Listening to the pleasant girl's voice, Xiao Yun diluted his inner loneliness. His expression also became relaxed. There's no need to make a promise, hurry up and lose money. Give me 100 gold coins first to ease my financial difficulties. Ah. I can't have that much money by selling 10. Then you go rob the bank, there's one in the city. As they laughed along the way, Xiao Yun and Xiao Jie finished their meal at the tavern and started shopping, buying various daily necessities, of course the most expensive. They also hired a few strong men to help move the furniture and started walking towards the reconnaissance department in the northwest. Wow, what a big place. It seems that what the captain said is true. If you really want to establish a reconnaissance department, everything belongs to you. Gaga, the captain seems to value you very much. Xiao Jie quickly ran towards the huge building complex in front and observed around. All kinds of houses are clean and orderly, as if they have only recently been built, and the air is filled with a fragrance of wood. Our place of residence should be on the north side near the city wall. Let's go. You've thought too much. Xiao Yun felt helpless. Because I know I'm just a team captain, and to put it bluntly, I'm just a lackey running fast. Dia, what are you doing here? Xiao Yun saw Dia, who had seen the bully run away, waiting for me listlessly in front of him. So he comforted him. It's okay, we will communicate this matter well with our superiors. There won't be anything wrong, and your work won't be affected either. Dia, come and eat candy. Xiao Jie next to her also reached out in time to give Dia a big bag of candy. Dia quickly shook his head and said, No, thank you, Sister Wang Jie. It's all my fault for not having the courage to run away like a coward. Dia stared at the many luggage behind him. I'll go help you pack your luggage. Then, as if relieved, I ran back to help. Forget it, let him go. Xiao Yun stopped Xiao Jie from wanting to stop Dia. Xiao Jie stuck out her tongue and said, Okay, let's hurry and go to the factory to take a look. The factory is quite beautiful, except for the overgrown weeds. Even though Xiao Yun's place is a modern small villa complex, although the wooden houses are a bit dilapidated, they are strong enough to withstand the wind and cold. And it also comes with a backyard for planting things. It seems that the leader has indeed shown enough sincerity, and at least Xiao Yun will feel at ease in his heart because he has a good place to live. This is too bad. Xiao Jie exclaimed angrily. No one came to clean, Fortunately, I'm not someone who pursues cleanliness. Let's put my luggage aside and see what I can eat tonight. Besides, there are actually some elemental ingredients. It seems that life is still going well. Xiao Yun picked up the ingredients he bought today and began to understand. Food made by mixing some elements seems to have undergone ripening. And it comes with instructions on how to consume it. That's natural. There is indeed enough food in the city, but we are afraid that those who lack the ability will not engage in manual labor. That's why we say there is a food crisis, and buying food will not be very expensive. Don't go out and talk casually, Xiao Jie whispered in Xiao Yun's ear. At this moment, Xiao Yun seems to have accepted his fate and generally feels that it doesn't matter. A friend of the dead path is better than a poor one. Management needs to be specific to all aspects, which makes it more survivable and challenging. With the efforts of Xiao Yun and Xiao Jie, a sumptuous dinner came out of the pot. The fragrance permeates, as if returning to the past. When Xiao Yun remembered Dia, he had already slipped away early. I was thinking of inviting him to have a good meal together, but it's a pity. At sunset, the sky gradually fell into silence, and the stars and lights rose in the distance. A place with people is beautiful and moving. Farewell to the lively and unusually lively Xiao Jie. Xiao Yun lay on a chair, drinking red wine from his glass and watching the unsystematic workers below work tirelessly, even in the middle of the night. This fills Xiao Yun's heart with sorrow, but what can it change? Chapter 9. The rescue team. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Is it the dark deep sea? Gulu gulu gulu. The sunlight shone in from the window and onto Xiao Yun's face. The surroundings were so peaceful that Xiao Yun almost forgot that he was in the apocalypse and had to go to the office area as soon as possible to start his job. Pushing open the door, I saw people working in the distance full of vitality, as if all their faces were full of energy. Xiao Yun seemed to be influenced by this upward momentum, changing his usual decadence and striving to tidy up his appearance and clothing. Then go and see what kind of department the reconnaissance department is. Let's go. The air is fresh, the mood is pleasant, and at least having a position is quite good. The people coming and going from all sides seem to be in a hurry. The sound of files clattering kept coming from afar. It seems that electricity has spread to campsites today, coming from the city side. Surprisingly, I could still see several computers and soldiers standing guard with firearms on their backs. Guns. Is it useful for monsters? It's really rare. Officer Xiao Yun, you go this way. A man wrapped in black clothes emerged from the shadow under the nearby tree. Guide Xiao Yun to leave the office area and move to the more dilapidated courtyard on the other side. Sir Xiao Yun, your future office area will be here. After receiving orders, you will be responsible for leading the team to the mission site for reconnaissance and investigation, and collecting target intelligence. The man in black was quite mysterious, and he kept bending down, appearing very humble. Okay, are the other members inside the room? Yes, this is my token. If you have any questions, you can call me in time through the touch of the token. I am your liaison. Beiying. Xiao Yun took the token from Beiying's hand and began to understand it. It was a ring with a deep black gemstone at the top, as if constantly absorbing the surrounding light, pitch black and lifeless. Subsequently, the white shadow transformed into a pool of black water and disappeared into the shadows. Oh, it's quite mysterious. Xiao Yun played with the ring in his hand and then threw it into his pocket. I said, why are we so unlucky? God didn't harm others, but he let me come here. A tired-looking young man with white hair lay on the sofa, shouting loudly. This is fate. A middle-aged man next to him who appeared to be getting older sighed. Don't complain, this is our job. Don't complain, God sent you here, it's not for you to enjoy yourself, okay? The girl with red hair and two ponytails and a lollipop in her mouth shouted casually. After hearing this, the white-haired boy stopped talking. He didn't want to stay here for the rest of his life. Staying in this place is really uncomfortable. Everyone, tidy up your attire. The captain is coming over soon, so please keep your spirits up, said a mature and charming woman. Can you please stop talking? The scout is right at the door, said Bai Mao. Hello, scout, you've worked hard. Bai Mao had an exaggerated smile on his face and ran to Xiao Yun to ask for warmth and comfort. Have you eaten, sir? How are you living? What kind of attributability are you? I have the thunder attribute of hanging thunder. By the way, will it be okay for me to become the deputy captain in the future? Xiao Yun felt somewhat helpless, as he did not have much management experience. He looked at the beautiful woman wearing purple professional attire beside him. Prepare to become a hands-off shopkeeper. In the future, she will be your vice captain, and I will always look for her for anything. Why? Captain. Because she looks more mature and stable, let's introduce her to me, Xiao Yun said with a disdainful expression as he pushed away his white hair that was close to him. Humph. If I'm not the vice captain, then I'm the captain. Immediately, his white hair shone brightly, and with a flash of thunder, he took advantage of Xiao Yun's lack of attention and quickly punched him in the stomach. Everyone was surprised, and a smell of smoke filled the air. Xiao Yun, on the other hand, casually swept away the white-haired fist on his stomach. Obviously, the attack of the white hair element did not cause any damage, and even the position where Xiao Yun stood did not change. Only a black hole was visible in his clothes, as well as a white belly. Hey, I'm speechless. Why are there still children in the team? Xiao Yun looked worried and didn't even think about why Bai Mao attacked him. I am simply worried that the difficulty of carrying out tasks in the future will be significant. The shadow under the wall trembled, revealing a person's face, as if it were a detector. Xiao Yun had known he had been there for a long time. Lei Yunshan had a major demerit once, for the reason of attacking his superiors. He went to the military aircraft to receive punishment himself. Xiao Yun looked at the face on the wall and shouted. No, it's not necessary. It's normal for peers to compete. Right, Your Excellency, the tester. As you wish. Then the face in the shadow disappeared, and even the breath gradually dissipated, indicating that he had walked away. It seems that city people have deep doubts about my ability to deal with water faces. However, it's also good to receive attention and gain some benefits. Xiao Yun looked at the crowd. He said, "My name is Xiao Yun, and I don't have a system. I was inexplicably affected when it was turned on. My abilities rely entirely on physical combat, and I have lost my sense of fear." Bai Mao looked at Xiao Yun with a look of admiration. "I am a thunder attribute ability, a 4th level dawn, you can call me Yunshan. I rely on my own elemental transformation to fight, and my speed is very fast." "Boss, what attribute talent are you? It's amazing that you don't have as strong a system developer." "I am Jiang Zifen, the secretary. General sent by my superiors. Just call me Zifen. My abilities include voice propagation and wind attribute abilities, and I am a level 3 slight light. My combat ability is relatively weak. The deputy captain should have no problem, responsible for coordinating with superiors and helping everyone carry out reconnaissance work." Zifen leaned against her desk with a bright smile. "Humph, I am also a 4th level dawn warrior, using the fire element for battles. In the future, just call me Hongyu. I only follow orders from Sister Zifen, and it's useless if you're stronger than me." Immediately, Hongyu turned her head to the side with a disdainful expression. The middle-aged man who was wiping the bookshelf next to him stopped his work and apologetically said to Xiao Yun, "I'm sorry for Yunshan's behavior just now. My name is Li Heng, or you can call me Lao Li. My ability is related to aiming and tracking. It's just that my body is only resistant to beating, and I'm temporarily classified as a beast element. Moreover, I can smell the breath from a long distance, and my eyes can see further." Xiao Yun looked at Lao Li in surprise. There were many talented people around, and this one was even more of a weight class. Zifen looked at Xiao Yun and said, "Captain, then I will explain to everyone the instructions and orders issued by the superiors." Xiao Yun nodded and signaled that it was okay. So everyone sat around the table and began listening to Zifen's report on the work meeting. Due to the appearance of unknown things in the depths of the dark forest, a reconnaissance team was almost completely destroyed, with only a few personnel escaping. Therefore, the team leader requested that we temporarily refrain from going deep into the dark forest and abandon all camps stationed in it. Only small reconnaissance teams were dispatched to explore both inside and outside for a short period of time, ensuring our personal safety. We should take care of each other at all times. If there are no accidents, we will depart the day after tomorrow. We must make a comprehensive deployment tomorrow and follow the instructions of our superiors and not act casually. Speaking of which, Zifen stared at Yunshan next to Xiao Yun. Yunshan smiled foolishly and said, "No, I promise to follow the instructions. Additionally, the establishment of our reconnaissance team requires a team name. What do you think would sound better?" Zifan looked at Xiao Yun. "The Lightning Team, the Thunder Action Team, the Divine Light Team." Yunshan shouted eagerly. "You ground beetle, it's better to form a Phoenix team. Let's die and live, let's die and live." Hongyu picked up a book. Jumping over and smashing towards the top of Yunshan Mountain. "Dong, sounds like a good idea. I think the one who saves the light is good." "Saving the light in darkness," said Old Li as he flipped through a book. "So tacky, you bad old man is very bad. How many people will mock you if this goes out?" Yunshan and Hongyu agreed on the side. "I think it's pretty good, it's quite meaningful. What do you think, Captain?" Zifen looked at Xiao Yun. Let's save the light." Xiao Yun nodded contentedly. Hey! The crowd exclaimed in surprise. Chapter 10. Revisiting the Black Forest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Captain, have you carefully read the monster guidebook that was just posted at the campsite? I've seen it all, don't ask. Accompanied by the departure of the rescue team, as the logistics secretary, Fan had already anxiously asked all the way, fearing that Xiao Yun, the cheap captain, might cause any trouble. And being absent from the scene caused the target direction to deviate. However, Xiao Yun did not care about these things, but remembered that eating the dark creature's magic core could gain abilities, so he must not let others discover his secrets and the reality of belonging to the darkness. Xiao Yun looked at the noisy Hongyu and Yunshan, and his sorrow gradually subsided in his heart. A smile appeared at the corner of my mouth. After all, I already have a group, so I must cherish it well. Drive. With a soft chuckle. Xiao Yun's horse suddenly accelerated, and he also wanted to take a good look at what had happened outside in these few days. Wait for my leader. Can we walk slower, okay? Old Li looked helpless. What I just said, we're just scouting the surrounding forests, don't go deep. Purple Fan couldn't help but worry and shouted. The forest is no longer the forest when it came. The trees and plants are even more lush, and various creatures are becoming more strange. It seems that they are carefully scrutinizing the newly arrived team of light rescuers in the forest. Some scenes of cannibal flowers appearing in movies are already unfolding, with a giant-mouthed flower flowing with honey on a rhizome that is almost like an adult, lying on the ground, as if waiting for the next prey to appear. Almost every plant has acquired more or less aggressive abilities. On the side, Old Li patted Xiao Yun's shoulder and said kindly, "Captain, you don't have a system. Let's temporarily share the same system with me. We will need to use the system to contact the people around us." Xiao Yun made an okay gesture and continued to observe the sky over the forest. Sure enough, the sky became gloomy again, seemingly influenced by unknown factors. The sky on this side of the forest is always gloomy and will not change. Captain, our mission this time is to scout Area 4, and we will be stationed there for 2 weeks to observe the recent forest changes. We are not the only team in this operation, and if there are any problems, we need to communicate with the surrounding teams in a timely manner or seek help. Captain, Zifan asked me to give this to you. A dark sand eagle pistol was pulled out by Old Li from his marching backpack. A wonderful elemental aura constantly emerged on the gun body. This was originally not allowed to be handed over to people from other cities, but it is no longer subject to rules when outside. Xiao Yun took the pistol and looked around, then fired a shot at the tree ahead. Bang! The recoil was amazing, but it didn't have much impact on Xiao Yun. The tree trunk ahead exploded in response, turning into a sky full of sawdust and igniting sparks. It is indeed an elemental energy storage bullet, which releases energy through various elemental reactions and explodes with lethal elemental explosions. How many bullets are there like this? Captain, there are a total of 104 bullets, each of which is polished with amethyst. Each magazine contains 7 bullets. Shooting them out is money. Captain, please use them with caution. Old Li looked at the direction of the tree explosion with a painful expression on his face. Okay, I get it. Other members should also have it, right? It's different. Yunshan and Hongyu are both elemental abilities who don't need to use firearms, so it's just me, Lao Li, who uses these firearms to remotely support you. Lao Li said in general. Xiao Yun stroked the black, matte sand eagle in his hand, unable to distinguish the material of the gun for a moment. He only felt that the power of the gun was indeed astonishing, which met his own analysis and judgment, as well as his accuracy in shooting and aiming. In the future, you can be called a sharp-blade sand eagle. After speaking, Xiao Yun looked gratefully at Old Li, who had a kind smile on his face. Except for the dark 7 and 8 black creatures, there seemed to be no strange creatures around, and the dark creatures even had a very faint odor. Did they scare away when I devoured the water face? Water face seems to have a level 5 intensity monster. Is the highest level of this forest not exceeding class 5? Xiao Yun remembered the stone monster that Xiao Jia, the leader of the Xiao preaching team, encountered during the expedition. It was only a level 5 strength monster, but it needed to be restrained by many people to be worn down and hunted. When I tear apart water face, it constantly recombines and recovers, but often seems to become weaker after recovery. Can I say that my attack can make it unable to recover? Xiao Yun muttered to himself. It seems that my talent is very strong, embracing darkness without losing my sanity. Then he began to giggle foolishly. Hong Yu looked at the captain with a disdainful expression, while Yun Shan laughed foolishly along with Xiao Yun. "Two big fools," said Hong Yu, bulging his lips. "Suddenly accelerate and run forward. I'll go ahead and explore the way, humph." Then disappeared before my eyes. Xiao Yun was about to stop it, but Yun Shan on the side said, "Don't be afraid, Hong Yu is much stronger than me and is the peak of the 4th level Dawn Warrior. With just one step to the door, he can be promoted to the 5th level Dawn Warrior. Now she needs to better understand her elemental abilities and lay the groundwork for awakening new talents in the system. This is also why Sister Ziffin came out to remind me not to compete with her for monsters." Xiao Yun nodded, greatly surprised in his heart. Now that a child can possess such powerful abilities, his identity as captain will not be guaranteed in the future. The flames filled the sky ahead, and Xiao Yun also smelled the scent of mutated dark creatures. "We accelerate forward to prevent unnecessary incidents from happening. Drive." Xiao Yun frowned and said. A burning breath came towards us, and the trees around us turned into charcoal and fell to the ground, fragmented, leaving only bright sparks flying in the wind. This is the peak strength of the 4th level Dawn Warrior, truly deserving of its reputation. Looking at the girl in the flames, proficiently using the flames to continuously burn the golden toad in front of her, spitting black water, its aura was only level 3. The golden toad has been trying to use the water element covering its body to extinguish the surrounding flames and attack the red feathers with a water ball, but it has no effect at all. The flames never go out, and once all the water elements appear, they are slowly baked away by the fire element. The helpless golden toad could only explode and die, with almost all the surrounding area corroded by the blood of the golden toad. Is this the self-destructing toad? Looking at the flesh and blood burned by the flames, I felt a bit tempted to eat, but I still let it go. Xiao Yun felt a bit like crying. After all, he still needed the flesh and blood of these dark creatures very much. In the future, it would be better to find some way to cover them up. Humph. Let's go quickly, I don't want to camp in the wilderness before dark. Hong Yu proudly shook her red ponytails, as if satisfied with the captain's disappointed expression. And began to manipulate the flames to rummage through the burning flesh and blood around. "Has the monster magic core been found?" Xiao Yun inquired aside. The monster magic core is also the essence of a monster that is a collection of disorderly elements, which can be sold to the market for money. Of course, it can also be used for absorption, but unstable elemental factors need to be purified with their own elemental energy before they can be used. There is a certain probability of obtaining talents that match the growth of their own system from the absorbed magic core, but this probability is very small. Recently, Xiao Yun has also absorbed a few, but has not obtained corresponding talents. "I don't think it was burned to ashes," replied Hong Yu with a frown. "I did not encounter any powerful monsters along the way, and the aura of dark creatures was even weaker." Xiao Yun secretly swallowed a piece of flesh and blood from a dark creature and found that no other organs had evolved, nor had he additionally enhanced his physical strength and breath changes. It seems that only the magic core is the key to Xiao Yun's talent acquisition. This mountain range is indeed a good observation point, surrounded by many trees that cover it, except for the bare mountaintop which appears exceptionally steep. It is still the size of a football field. Xiao Yun suddenly felt that this mountain was very suitable for vigilance and retreat. In the future, he would have to conduct a 2-week reconnaissance and recording on this half of the mountain. However, Xiao Yun always felt a sense of unease in his heart. The gloomy atmosphere around him seemed unusually calm. Should this be the silence and loneliness before the storm arrived? "It's going to rain, we need to settle down the camp in advance," Xiao Yun whispered as he looked at the gloomy sky. "The air is filled with abundant water elements, which I believe everyone has already noticed." Immediately, the group accelerated towards the mountain range in front of them.